This story is titled, My Boyfriend Flirts with Other Women in Front of Me and Calls It Harmless Fun. I never thought I would be that person. The one who questions whether their relationship is real, the one who watches their partner slip further and further away but can't seem to pull them back. But here I am. My name is Claire. I'm 48 years old and I've been dating my boyfriend Mark for nearly 3 years. We met in the most ordinary way, through mutual friends at a dinner party. He had this energy about him, this charm that made people gravitate toward him. I wasn't immune to it. He made me laugh, made me feel special, at least in the beginning. I should have seen the signs. Maybe I did see them, but I ignored them. The playful comments he made to waitresses, the way he lingered a little too long when talking to women at parties, the way he'd flash me a smile afterward, as if to say, "See, it's no big deal." And for a while I convinced myself that maybe it wasn't. Until one night changed everything. We were at a friend's birthday gathering, a cozy little dinner at a nice restaurant. I was sitting beside Mark, sipping my wine, listening to the conversation. And then, it happened. The waitress came to take our order. She was young, mid-20s maybe, bright-eyed and cheerful. And Mark turned on that charm of his. "Oh wow," he said, flashing her a grin. "They always send the prettiest servers over to my table." I felt my stomach twist, but I stayed silent, willing myself to ignore it. She laughed, maybe a little flustered, and asked what we wanted to eat. But Mark wasn't finished. "You must get guys falling all over themselves for you," he continued, leaning forward slightly. "If I weren't already taken." He let the sentence hang in the air before glancing at me with a wink. The table chuckled. The waitress smiled politely. And me? I froze. I wanted to brush it off, to play along like I always did, but something inside me snapped. For the rest of the dinner, I barely spoke. My appetite disappeared. Mark continued to be his usual boisterous self, laughing and joking like nothing had happened. On the way home, I finally said something. "Mark," I started, my voice calm but firm. "That wasn't okay." He glanced at me, confused. "What wasn't?" "The way you flirted with the waitress," I said, gripping my purse a little tighter. "Right in front of me. It made me feel—" "Oh, come on, Claire." He let out a laugh, shaking his head. "It was harmless fun." I exhaled sharply. It didn't feel harmless. He sighed, his hands gripping the wheel a little tighter. "You know I don't mean anything by it. It's just who I am. You know that." And that was the problem. I did know that. I knew it from the beginning. But what I didn't know was how much it would hurt me over time. I turned to look at him, my heart hammering. "But do you ever stop to think about how it makes me feel?" He glanced at me again, his face softening just slightly. "Claire, you know I love you. You know you're the only one I want. This is just how I talk to people. It's innocent." I swallowed hard. "It doesn't feel innocent to me." Silence. Mark let out a slow breath. "You're overthinking this." That night, I barely slept, because for the first time, I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe this wasn't something I could just accept anymore. I lay awake that night, staring at the ceiling, replaying every little moment over and over. The way he smiled at her, the way he winked at me, like it was all just a game, the way he dismissed my feelings like they were nothing. This wasn't the first time, it wasn't even the 10th, but somehow tonight felt different. The next morning I made a decision. I wasn't going to let this go. Over breakfast, I set my coffee down and looked him in the eyes. "Mark, we need to talk." He groaned. "Claire, not this again." "Yes, this again." I took a deep breath, steadying myself. "I don't think you understand how much this is hurting me." He sighed and rubbed his temples. "Claire, I keep telling you, it's harmless." I shook my head. "No, Mark, it's not harmless. You flirt with women right in front of me, and then you tell me I'm overreacting when I say it bothers me. That's not fair." He scoffed. "So what? You want me to stop talking to women altogether?" I clenched my jaw. "No, I want you to respect me." His face shifted slightly, but he still wasn't getting it. "Mark," I continued, my voice quieter now, "when you do this, I feel invisible. I feel like I don't matter to you, like I'm just there while you have your fun." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Claire, you matter to me. Of course you do. I love you, but this is just my personality. I can't change who I am." My stomach twisted, because in that moment, I realized something. He wouldn't change. Not because he couldn't, but because he didn't want to. I sat there, staring at him, my heart pounding. And then I asked the question that had been lingering in my mind for months. "If you love me," I whispered, "then why is it so hard to respect my feelings?" He didn't answer. And that silence told me everything I needed to know. I stood up, my hands trembling slightly. Mark, I don't think I can do this anymore. His eyes snapped up to mine. Claire, come on. But I shook my head. I deserve better than this. I deserve to feel secure in my relationship. I deserve someone who listens when I say I'm hurt. For the first time, he looked unsure. Nervous, even. Claire, he started, reaching for my hand. I pulled back. I love you, Mark, I said softly. But love isn't enough if I always have to beg for basic respect. Tears burned in my eyes, but I stood firm. And for the first time in a long time, I felt free. If this story resonated with you, like, comment, and subscribe. Have you ever been in a relationship where your feelings were dismissed? Let's talk about it in the comments.